megafone.
Bolsonaro, de que lugar do Brasil você
Já tem sinais de que o valor pode sair, mas
o país.
as eleições europeias, dia 9 de
Qual seria o pior cenário possível para o Brasil?
Até mesmo os que não podem votar estão lá.
Está acontecendo algum tipo de guerra civil. Mas lembrando que esse tipo de problema, repetindo mais uma vez, não é em toda a França, né? Isso vai acontecer.
Infelizmente, acho que sim. Não há dúvida.
primeiramente entender como está participando como seu canal.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. This is Guerra da Informação, the information of war. This is Oscar Berbert speaking directly from North Italy, from Veneto. We gonna discuss everything about the presidential election in the United States. Why it's so important to the entire world what's going on in the United States. I have with me today our oracle, our Lord here in Guerra da Informação, Garry Craig Powell, also a North American citizen. We're gonna discuss everything about the North American presidential election. Why it's so important for the entire world? Normally, the presidential election in the United States is important for the entire world, but this year is different. It's really different. We're gonna discuss that with Garry Powell and also with my dear Lorenzo Cianti, based in Rome, the capital of the empire, Rome. Lorenzo Cianti will explain us why is it so important the presidential election in the United States to Europe, but not just to Europe, but to Israel, to Ukraine. We're gonna discuss that here tonight. I'm glad that you are following us. If you are watching this live stream through the X, the former Twitter, please go on YouTube and subscribe. Garry, why is so important to the entire road the presidential election in United States? Good night. Thanks once more to join us here.
Well, I think it's particularly important because the United States in the last few years has been, under Biden, has been getting weaker. Biden has been a very weak president, and the United States has been losing influence all over the world, and we've seen the results of that. Dictators and other bad players have been doing what they like. And for me, there's no question that if Kamala is elected, she will continue this weak policy, this policy of appeasement, and perhaps worse, actually, particularly with regard to Israel. She's very pressured by the far left in the States, which tends to be very pro-Palestinian, and even, if we're honest, pro-Hamas and pro-Hezbollah, and even in cases pro-Iran. So I think there's very little doubt that on the international scene, if Kamala is re-elected, there will be much less support for Israel. And I think in the Ukraine, my take on it is that Kamala would continue the United States support of Zelensky and Ukraine in a war which, in my opinion, they can't win and need to negotiate on. So in both cases, the chances of continued war are much higher if Kamala is elected. And I think the chances of a world war are much, much higher if Kamala is elected than if Trump is.
Lorenzo, my dear friend, we have already discussed this issue here at Guerra da Información. Like, what changed on the Ukraine-Russia conflict? What changed on the Israel-Russia conflict? And for us here in Europe, here in Italy, because some of my friends sometimes say, Oscar, I don't need to care about presidential election in the United States. We are doing well. We have Giorgia Meloni. Pretty much not like that. So, like, why is important, not just to Europe, but South America and many other places? Why is so important the presidential elections in the United States for the entire world? Thanks once more for joining us. Good evening.
Thank you for asking me. Unluckily, I didn't hear everything of your question because my connection was a bit laggerish, but I think I got the main points and I can clearly answer you. There will be very serious consequences if Kamala wins, and on the other hand, Trump's victory will lead to a very different path as far as Europe is concerned. In my opinion, if Trump wins, the European Union will go towards the path of responsabilization. We have seen a NATO that, covered Euro problems in the matter of national security. The European Union doesn't have a central army. I don't hope that kind of perspective. But in my opinion, if Trump says to the European countries, you must react autonomously, America is going to raise its tariffs and it's going to think to its internal affairs, this will be a great solution. I really appreciated what Garry Craig Powell said about the ongoing conflicts, both in the Middle East and in the Ukrainian-Russian war. I believe that Kamala Harris is very, very keen on the Ukraine conflict, but isn't reliable on the Israeli stance. She's extremely ambiguous and is trying to indulge with the most radical wing of the Democratic Party that are protesting with the pro-Palestinian demonstrators. That will be very dangerous. Trump, on the other hand, is an unwavering supporter of the Israeli cause against Islamic fundamentalism. When the Ukrainian invasion by Russia occurred 2 years ago, Kamala Harris said, Ukraine is a very little country attacked by a very big country. She gave extremely ridiculous explanation about the conflict. She doesn't understand anything about foreign policy. Donald Trump agenda, on the other hand, is imbued with realism and pragmatism. That's what the world needs now. We must never forget that during the first term at the presidency of the United States, Trump managed to pacify the Middle East by ratifying the Abraham Accords. And in 2017, he provided Ukraine with Javelin defensive missiles to defend from an eventual Putin expansionist aggression. The false myth of Donald Trump as a leader colluded with the Kremlin needs to be debunked. Donald Trump is a hero of the free world.
You are watching Guerra da Informação. It's the final countdown. 13 days to go. Subscribe. You are watching us through the X, to the Twitter. Go at YouTube. Subscribe. Share Guerra da Informação. We are here facing the mainstream media. We are here in a battle, in a war against the propaganda. They don't make journalism. Do you think CNN, BBC, RAI, they are not doing journalism. They are doing propaganda. It's important for us that you help us. This is independent journalism. Go on YouTube, subscribe, share. 13 days to go is the final countdown. Please share and subscribe. Guerra da Informação. We have content in Italian, English, Portuguese, Spanish, French. Guerra da Informação. Help us, independent journalists. We are here on a battle against the propaganda media, against the mainstream media, the legacy media. They don't make journalism. They are not telling you the truth. They are just making propaganda. Garry, the swing states, right, in the United States, it's important to talk about that. You know, Lorenzo, Garry is from Arkansas. He's a North American citizen from Arkansas. Arkansas is part of the Bible Belt. So, like, I assume that most of the people in Arkansas, most of the people on the Bible Belt in the United States, they vote for the conservatives. for the Republicans. However, the real battleground, the real battlefield consists on the swing states. Garry, please explain us a bit about the swing states, because we see in the last weeks Donald Trump, Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Kamala, they are focused on the swing states. Explain us a bit about the swing states in the United States and how important is the swing states on the race to the House, to the White House.
Yes, well, as you said, you know, the majority of the states, we already know which way they're going to vote. Arkansas, I wouldn't exactly say I'm from Arkansas. I lived in Arkansas, and that's where I'm registered to vote. It's pronounced Arkansas, incidentally, in the States. That's how the local people say it. As you say, that the South, most of the Midwest, and a lot of the West, votes reliably Republican. The whole of the West Coast votes Democrat. The Northeast and some of the upper Midwest votes reliably Democrat. But there are several states which are in play. The most important one is probably Pennsylvania, because they have, I think it's 19 electoral votes, so it's quite a heavily populated state, and the way that one goes is usually the way that the presidency goes. Florida and Texas are not certain either. Let me see, the other swing states are Rust Belt states, so Wisconsin, Michigan,
Georgia.
Yeah, Ohio is another one. So these have been pretty close, actually. In the last couple of weeks, Donald Trump has been going up in the polls in pretty much all of them, I think. It looks as if Michigan will probably go to the Democrats. Wisconsin might go to the Democrats. He's slightly ahead in most of them. In Ohio, I think it's almost exactly equal, about 50-50, I think. The others, he certainly has the edge. It's not a huge lead. You know, in most of these places, he has a lead of a couple of points. However, we have to remember that for the reasons that you said, that the mainstream media is mostly propaganda now, they are tending to be very biased in favor of Kamala. And so they are minimizing and predicting Kamala's victory. And remember that in both of the last elections, they underestimated Donald Trump's vote, especially in 2016. I mean, that was a very big surprise to everyone. They were saying that he was 6 or 8 points behind, and actually he ended up winning. So I think the actual figures are probably better even than they look. So I think there are reasons to be optimistic that he will win. But it's impossible to predict for sure.
Yeah, Lorenzo, are you hear me or still don't? You can listen to me, or
Now I can hear you perfectly. Thanks to
Okay.
God.
Great. So like it's different from our system here in Italy, right? I mean, we need to explain that because first of all, we are in United States. It consists in have at least 270 delegates to become president. So like in the midterm, it's not like in South America, like in Brazil, that the popular vote decides. But it's not like here in Europe. It's like a kind of midway. It's different, right? So like how you see this the fight, on the real battlefield. We think Donald Trump in Pennsylvania, and it is quite interesting because they try to shot Donald Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania. And 2 days ago, he was working on the McDonald's of Pennsylvania. Like that, the guy, the orange guy is amazing. So, like, how you see this fight on the real battlefield on the swing states in North America?
The latest election trends speak for themselves. Donald Trump is surging in the polls and is ahead in the 7 swing states we are showing in the chart right now. The Republican Party is surging both in the Rust Belt, so in the Midwest region, and in the Southern Sun Belt. And the greatest news about this Republican exploit is that the Republican voters are casting more than ever mail-in ballots and early vote. Those systems penalized Donald Trump 4 years ago in the latest election cycle. Let's talk about a swing state that Trump failed to win twice, Nevada, a southern state. Nevada has 6 electoral votes, so it's quite a tiny state, but it's extremely important for Trump to win in Nevada. And Nevada shows us the first elements of the mail-in vote. We can see some data, and data are huge because Republicans and Democrats are tied in mail and early vote in a solidly blue state that now has turned to the swing state, to a battleground state. That's a very significant news. And other swing states located quite close to Nevada, Arizona, 11 electoral votes. We can see that in the largest county of this state that is renowned for being a bellwether county that explains the political turmoil, Maricopa County, Trump is leading. Joe Biden was leading in Maricopa County by double digit 4 years ago. That's another huge news. Let's go for the north. Let's reach the famous whale, the white whale of Republicans from the 80s on, Pennsylvania. The Democrat Senator John Fetterman, which is a very intelligent and honest man, after Donald Trump assassination attempt in Butler, declared that Donald Trump, the Republican nominee, has a strong and unique appeal to the blue collars living in the rural areas of the Buckeye state. That's another admission of how Trump is making inroads in the electorate once known as Reagan Democrats, the working class. The same goes for Wisconsin and for Michigan as well. The latest polls also suggest that Donald Trump is gaining support from two significant demographics. African Americans strongly with the Democrats since a few years ago, and Latinos, which are rebelling against woke culture. For this very reason, I'm trustful and believe that Donald Trump could reserve us a lot of surprise on the 5th of November.
Yeah, joining us here, Vitor, Vicente. Let's put him here. Where are you? Vitor, Vitor, Vicente, we are glad that you are joining. I'm pretty upset with you. You know, Garry and Lorenzo. Vitor Vicente has visited my homeland in Brazil, and he wrote an article just saying bad things. Vitor Vicente, I will visit Portugal, and I only will write bad things about Portugal. Vitor Vicente, thank you
No problem.
very much to join us. We were talking about the real battlefield, the real battleground. I know you have a dirty mind, and when I talk about swing, you think about another thing,
No,
right?
I need to Google what is swing.
We are talking about the swing state, not swing house. Please, Vitor Vicente, we are talking serious stuff here. How you see the real ground in the United States? Because we know some states like California, right, won't change. Trump can do nothing in California. So even Kamala and Donald Trump, they are focused where? On the swing states, where the vote can change, right? And how are you seeing that? And why it's so important for people who live in Europe, in South America, people in Israel? You have a great connection, a strong connection with Israel. Why it's so important? I know that the presidential election in the United States have always been important, but this year it is even more important for the people in Ukraine, Russia, Israel. So please let our audience know your thought on the swing states and the influence of the presidential election result in United States. Good evening.
Hi everyone, apologies for being late. I swear I was not in a swing state or in a swing house. That's not why I'm late, okay? I was actually in a poetry workshop, and that's the reason why I just joined now. Okay, that being said, two very tough questions just to start. The first one is about how key are those swing states and what are the efforts done by both candidates. So I believe they have two radical different strategies. Okay, and I think it's visible in the last few days. So Kamala remains close to the elite. She thinks she can influence the vote through institutions, and that will be enough. So she thinks that it's all about making alliance upstairs. And when I mean upstairs, it's not God. It's Gates, which is a different thing. Although Gates thinks he's a God sometimes. So Kamala is still very keen to explore those territories. I'm not sure if that's enough because the everyday man is being neglected for quite some time, and that's something that Trump gathered. Not only now, but he has been very close to those people who haven't received the attention they deserved. And as a matter of fact, we can see now Trump frying fries in a McDonald's. Today he was talking in a barber with a couple of lads. So he's doing what politicians do a lot in Europe, for instance. No, they go to local markets, they go to restaurants. They just talk to the people directly, which is not as common in the US. And I think the Democrats are being very savvy in the way they perceive Trump approach to the everyday person. I was actually this afternoon watching Piers Morgan episode with Dave Rubin, and I don't remember the name of the others, but there were three others. Another guy on the Republican side and two others on the Democratic one. And they were saying, like, you Democrats, you claim that you are on the side of the people, and now Trump decided to spend some time with the people, and you are making fun of him. So there is a huge paradox there, among others. Okay, so I think Trump strategy is positive. It will work. I don't know if it will work to the extent that he will be elected. I hope so, but that's another thing. But I think he is doing the right job. Okay, if that will be sufficient or not, only in November we will know. Okay, the other thing that Trump is doing, which I think can have an impact on those states that it's very difficult to predict who is going to be the winner, is attending podcasts. Like Kamala doesn't do that at all. She walks away from tangible conversations like what we have here. She sticks to the big media. Okay, shout out for her that she went on Fox News. I think that was brave. It didn't go very well, but she was there. And Trump is talking to especially males who have been quite fed up with the whole narrative. So I think Trump can affect the results in the swing states by being close to people. Would that be enough? We don't know, because there's a lot of elements that we are not aware of. Okay, so sometimes there's cheating, and maybe the cheating will have a larger weight than these day-to-day approaches. So that's a swing state. The other one you asked me is the impact of the U.S. election, and it's no secret that whatever happens in the states will have repercussions over the road. Has been the case for, I don't know, 40, 50 years, even I think since the Second World War. And as the road is more and more globalized, it's a fact. It's a fact that no one can dispute. And I believe that with social media, it's even the American influence is even bigger, because they can spread their ethos and their way of perceiving life and all that very rapidly. So I think there is a big concern in who is going to be the winner, because that will have as a result that other Trumps will show up in other counties or other Kamalas. I think some people are just waiting for that to happen. Some politicians saying, okay, here's my opportunity, because now there will be a trend. And we saw that. I was telling this to you, Oscar, the other time, that Bolsonaro is often called, outside of Brazil, the Trump of the tropics. So other Trumps will show up if he wins. So everyone is very keen to see the result. I think Trump is doing a better job at approaching people, not only on the field, but also on the internet. And in terms of impacts, both are going to influence massively, but in totally different directions. And the other good thing of Trump, he will look after his own backyard. Okay, he will probably change a bit the foreign policy, because there's a lot of things to be solved, but he will focus on his backyard. And maybe that's a message for other countries to focus in their own backyard too.
Yeah, you are at Guerra da Informação. Here we speak in English, Portuguese, Italian, French. We need your help. Please subscribe. You are following us at X, Twitter. Go on YouTube and subscribe. Guerra da Informação. Subscribe, share. We are here on a battle against the propaganda media. They don't make journalism. They make propaganda, just like Goebbels did. We need your help. Share, subscribe. We are now talking about how important is the North American presidential election for the entire world. So we need to bring back the orange guy. Lorenzo Cianti, unfortunately, he had to leave, and I want to share something that I want Lorenzo to comment. Something that he have written on the L'Opinione, is the Italian newspaper. Lorenzo had written a amazing article, and I would like him to comment. I will share here with our audience this article written by Lorenzo. Lorenzo, amazing article. Huh? Congratulations.
Thank you.
Opinion. And you have already written a lot of good stuff, not only in L'Opinione, but also in L'Atlantico, and really amazing. Like, so make some comments about the article that you have written on L'Opinione, and thanks once more to be here with us.
Yeah, in this article that was published this morning, I was described the brilliant speech given by Donald Trump at a ritual dinner, the famous L. Smith Foundation dinner, which is a kind of ritual for American politics. Both the Republican and the Democrat nominee meet for the last time before the campaign trail ends here in New York in this dinner. This dinner focuses on charity for Catholic people, especially for vulnerable women and children. And you know what? Kamala Harris, for the first time in over 40 years, refused to participate to this charity dinner. Donald Trump mocked her and said the last time it happened, Walter Mondale refused to be there, and he lost 49-1, winning just in his home state, Minnesota. The most important feature of this speech is the use Donald Trump makes of irony, of rhetorical devices. It seems almost like if Trump is returning back to Reagan-esque humor, and I liked it very much. He gave very interesting jokes that mesmerized the audience. He wasn't kind of acrimonious or naive. It was really fun to hear. And he also tells several jokes about the Democratic Party when referring to his former friend Chuck Schumer, senator for the state of New York since 1991, told him, your party has become a very woke and left-wing party. If Kamala Harris loses, you may have the chance to be the first woman president, and the audience get mad and laughed a lot. He also mocked New York Mayor Eric Adams and told him, I must hurry finishing this page because a lot of illegal aliens are coming from Texas and must sleep here in this room. The audience was amazed by Trump's speech, and in my opinion, Catholics are supporting Donald Trump in November.
Amazing. Lorenzo, thanks once more. I love this kid. This kid is amazing. I mean, it's the best thing I have found here in Italy. He's the unique libertarian person here in Italy. I remember I used to talk about libertarian, and people, what? Because here in Italy,
quite a rarity, yeah, must confess it.
Garry and Vicente, here in Italy, even the people that have voted for Giorgia Meloni, when we start to talk with them, they have a left-wing mind. So here in Italy, quite complicated.
Perfectly agree with you. Yeah, they are kind of socialistic in their mindset. I'm trying to announce the values of freedom, individual freedom, free markets. People are trying to listen to me, and I'm trying to do my best.
Thank you very much. Lorenzo Cianti will be here in Guerra da Informazione doing the All Roads Lead to Rome. That will be the name of the Lorenzo Cianti show. All roads lead to Rome. But I suppose that this road would lead us to Javier Milei, not to Rome. I don't know.
Yeah, I suppose that. Yeah.
Grazie mille Lorenzo, vai, ci vediamo, ciao.
Thank you for hosting me. Bye, everyone.
Grazie. Vicente. Mamma mia, sto parlando italiano già. Vicente, I would like to know from you how you see. We already have talked about that, right? And I want to know from Garry, because he is the oracle here of our channel. But like, we have seen, not just in the United States, but also here in Europe, the radicalization of the left wing, right? We have all kinds, all colors of how can I say that? 50 tones of red. I mean, like the green red, right? This green neo-geo, Greta Thunberg is a kind of left. We have the rainbow left, right? We have a lot of left nowadays, right? We have the Green New Deal, we have the trans left, we have the Islamic left, and in the United States, we have seen that. From my point of view, this stuff has started with Obama, or maybe with Bill Clinton, I don't know, but it's not something that happens just in the United States, but also in Europe. Someone like Kamala, 20 years ago, would be considered like an extreme left radical person. But now it's considered like a normal candidate. Why that happens? Not just in the United States, but also here in Vicente. I hate. She hates because he hates because I make complex questions and I give him 5 minutes to answer. But anyway, why
I'll try to summarize. Yeah. So I think there is a wedding between the left wing and the center, and it's very difficult to see a distinction. The globalism is making or started to do an alliance with the left because they have to partner with someone, and at the moment the left is more trendy. There is they came up with this. Let's look after the minorities. They were not looked after. So that's something that will appeal to people's sentiments. I think people lack someone to take care of. So if you suggest that there are communities who require care, people will fall to that trap. Because let's say if you don't have kids, why don't you look after the Black community or the trans community? Just that you can show some love, even though your heart is full of shit. But you can use that just to look at the eyes of others as a good person. So I think that's the trap. The other thing they use that I was just discussing a couple of hours ago in my own podcast with Frank Furedi, which was I think it was going to be the episode, and he was saying that now the system uses public health, and what he means by that is there's a new instrument called fear and it's all about making people apprehensive and convince them that they need to rely on the authorities for things not going wrong. So people will be very afraid, let's say, of a health crisis or of the climate change, that the seas can just invade cities, and then it will be a huge disaster. So I think they also use that narrative. So it's basically fear and fake love.
Garry Craig Powell, like I said before, and you have seen that transformation, this transformation, like if we get JFK speech, for example, and if we compare a JFK speech with Kamala, I think people will consider JFK like a far-right person. How you see this happening in United States? I mean, for example, we see people like Tulsi Gabbard. I'm not sure if you're familiar with her. Tulsi Gabbard and Bob Kennedy Jr., right? He said, like, no, this is not the Democrat Party today, not representing what my uncle, what my father was thinking about for America, for North America. How you see that when this radicalization of the Democrat Party starts, and do you think, two questions, when do you think the radicalization of the Democrat Party starts, and do you think it's possible to the moderate Democrats take the control of the party again, or it's gone and they will become even more extremist?
Yeah, interesting questions. It's difficult to say exactly when the radicalization began, because of course it's been a very gradual process. I can tell you, I mean, I was a Democrat, you know. I supported the Democrats, and like a lot of people, like Bobby Kennedy, Tulsi Gabbard, Elon Musk, these were all Democrats. Actually,
Trump was
even Trump was a Democrat. Yeah, so we have all left because we saw what was happening. I mean, when did I really become aware of it? I mean, really strongly, somewhere between 2010 and 2015, I suppose, about 10 or 15 years ago, it became really obvious. As you said, the process was obviously already beginning before that. To answer your second question, I don't think that the moderate wing of the party will take control again. It seems to me that the party base, the activists, are pretty far left and are getting more and more nakedly Marxist all of the time. And for this reason, I don't think that in the long term, I mean, I hope that Kamala doesn't win, but in the long term, I don't think they can win. I think we inevitably have conservative governments coming, and I think it's a question of whether they'll be center right or really far right, you know.
Garry, you mentioned that you are very skeptical whether the moderate wing of the Democratic Party can take over again, which was the case a couple of decades ago. I would just like to throw a scenario to the table and try to brainstorm with you where you think it might be possible if that would be the case, let's say, from next year. So let's say Trump wins, okay? And maybe the Democratic Party will do an assessment and they'll realize that the radicalization didn't go very well. Because I think the only way that they can feel the pushback is by suffering a heavy loss. Let's say Trump has a landslide victory. It's possible.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but it's possible. It's possible. If that is the case, do you think they can learn a lesson in saying, okay, fuck this woke thing, and we're going to go back to the reasonable mindset? Is it possible?
I understand what you're saying, and logically what you're saying makes sense, yes. I don't think they will, though. I mean, it seems to me, I know these people very well. I know people on the far left of the Democrat Party, and they're so fanatical now about all these issues, you know, the trans issue, the Palestinians, and so on. They're fanatics, you know. I can't see it, but yeah, who knows? I don't know.
Are you following us to the X former Twitter? Please go on YouTube, right? Go on YouTube. Subscribe. We are here on the battle. We are here on the war against the propaganda media, against the mainstream media, the legacy media. They hide the truth from you. We are here trying to face the system. We need your help. Subscribe, share, Guerra da Informação. We are now here talking about how important is the presidential election in the United States to the entire world, for the entire world. Not just important to the United States, to the entire world, to someone in Israel, South America, Brazil, Argentina, Venezuela, from someone here in Europe. So please subscribe and share. They are not charging tax for that. It's free. It's free. So please share, subscribe, Guerra da Informação. Let's move on. I need to add something for Vitor, Vicente, and also to Garry. Like, how you guys see let's say that Kamala wins. I mean, I don't want to be unfair and say that Kamala is responsible 100% for the situation in San Francisco, but she made part of that. The situation in San Francisco is chaotic, not just in San Francisco, but in the blue cities. Do you think, Vicente, that if Kamala wins, she can make the whole United States look like San Francisco? And that while you are comment, I will search from image here from San Francisco so our audience can understand what I'm saying. Again, I'm
I
not
just said
saying
dinner, Oscar, please. I just said dinner. Don't show me San Francisco. It's awful.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not people. Okay, audience. I'm not being dishonest intellectually. That I'm not here to say that Kamala is 100% responsible for what's going on in San Francisco, but she's part of it. And I'm afraid that if she get elected, she will transform the whole United States into a big San Francisco. Vitor Vicente, it's chaotic what's happening in San Francisco, and Kamala is part of it.
Yeah, she needs to make she needs to be accountable for the current the current status of San Francisco. Same as she needs to be accountable for the whole circumstance of the US, and she keeps walking away when she is asked about her influence on Biden decisions and all that. Every time they ask her, were you meeting with Biden when he took that decision and other, she always says she was not on the room, which shows how dishonest she is. When it comes to transforming the whole US in San Francisco, I think Kamala wouldn't mind, but I don't think she has the capability to do that. Okay, fortunately, the US is set up in a way that the federal government has influence, but not as much. So it's not like, let's say you win the elections in Italy or in Spain or in Sweden. It's very different there. There is a lot of things that are up to the local governors. So I don't think she should be capable. She might influence. She might try to export a couple of legislations in San Francisco that are an absolute disaster, as we can see here. But I don't think she will succeed. Perhaps, and it's just a perhaps. Perhaps the blue states will be able to mimic what San Francisco is, but I doubt that the likes of Florida with the DeSantis or some other hardcore red states will replicate San Francisco. I look, even if Kamala wins, she won't win by a large margin. What it means is states will be divided right now, so it won't be a big change. People think that after the election, the US will be a totally different story. I think it will be a massive difference because I expect one of them to win by a small difference, and the clash is there to stay. So I think San Francisco will remain San Francisco, and people will make fun of it, every time they look at the videos.
Yeah, Garry, I'd like to know from you, like, if you want to make some comments about this. I mean, like, something funny, Garry. Like, Kamala, she acts like she's not part of the Biden administration. She acts like, oh, now I'm gonna solve all the problems. The problem that she made part of: inflation, violence, immigration. I'm not against immigration. I'm talking about human trafficking. I'm talking about this kind of immigration. So, like, now she acts, she's not part of the Biden administration. She will do everything different, but she's been there for 4 years. But now everything will be different. Garry Craig Powell. Can you believe that?
Yes, that's a good point, of course. I mean, it's clever politics, of course. She's pretending that she's going to change everything for the better, but she hasn't she hasn't actually done anything while she's been in office. And in fact, I've spoken to several friends who say they like her, and I say, why? Tell me one thing that she's done. And they can't, because she hasn't done anything. I mean, they like her personality. They like the way she smiles or the way she speaks or something, but she hasn't done anything. So yeah, I mean, I think we can be certain that she won't solve anything. I do think Vitor is correct that because of the way the United States is set up with state governments, the state governors have a lot of power, and I don't think she'll succeed in turning all of the United States into California. In fact, I think if we have another 4 years of Democrat government, we're much more likely to get secession, actually, some of the states deciding to leave the Union, because people in the South and the Midwest are really, really sick of Washington.
Yeah, you are watching Guerra da Informação. Subscribe, share. We are getting on the final minute here. I want to listen from Vitor, Vicente. You've been in Israel. You have already wrote books from Israel, and you already have said here, like, Israel is waiting the presidential election results in the United States to decide what kind of counter attacks they will be doing against Iran, against Persia. Do you think Israel will hold until the presidential election finish in the United States? Or do you think Israel is like becoming free from NATO, from UN, from USA, or they're not capable to be free from the United States because they need weapons, money, and everything else? From the Israeli perspective, from the Israeli point of view, how important is the North American presidential election result?
It's key. It's so whoever gets into the White House will have a massive impact on the Israeli operation in the Middle East. There is again a big division between the Israelis. Some are on Kamala side, some are on Trump. It's strange. I know it's strange, but that's the way it is. Israel is a beautiful, but sometimes it's a strange place. When it comes to when they will pursue the attack and what kind of attack they will pursue, it's hard to say. Like, I think there are two main targets. One is to go after the main figures of the regime, in the same way that they've done it with the chief commanders of Hezbollah and Hamas. So I think that's a valid approach. The other one is to target the nuclear plant, because God knows what's happening there. This has been developing for a good number of years, for a good part with U.S. money, thanks to Obama. That's something not to forget. I think if Israel waits until the US election is resolved, which, as we know, it can take ages, it might compromise Netanyahu plans very much. And the reason is the last attack from Iran was massive, and it happened only 2 weeks ago, and there was no exact response. So I don't think the Israelis can afford to wait that long. So I expect that some kind of reply will take place, maybe a bit before the elections, maybe a bit after, but they cannot just sit and watch. Although they have a lot of work to do, with the proxies that are just in the neighbor countries. I would also say that Israel has the right intelligence and military force and capability to do everything by themselves, but unfortunately the country is heavily isolated, not only when it comes to America, but also the situation in Europe. So it's very tricky, because the more they act by themselves, the more the backlash increases. So it's a tricky situation. So I'd say there will be a kind of response, but not to the extent that we can foresee once the election is resolved, which will take, I think, maybe it's not Christmas. What's the other one they have in the US, similar to Christmas? What's the name in November?
Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving.
Yeah, thanks, Garry. Maybe with Thanksgiving, and they are still going through the ballot. It's possible.
Are you following us through the Facebook, to X, the former Twitter? Please go on YouTube, subscribe, and share. We need your help. We need your support, because we are here on the battle against the mainstream media, against the propaganda media. They don't make journalism. They don't make journalism. They make propaganda. It's different. Please subscribe and share. And Garry, Craig Powell, I will put a video here, like how trustable, like we see in Brazil, we see here in Italy, here in Europe. Can we trust 100% in our electoral system? Do you trust 100% in your electoral system? Here in Italy, we need to have registration. Not so easy to vote here in Italy, but nothing here in Italy is easy. The land of bureaucracy, but that's another issue. Do you believe 100% that the presidential election in United States is clean, is fair? I will share a video before you answer that. Let's put here one of our, our channel here. We have a lot of inspirations, Rush Limbaugh, Mark Levin, Tucker Carlson, and also, of course, we have
illegal aliens and people that are dead and people that are out of district voting. Gallup and others a few months ago did big national studies, and they canvassed illegal aliens, migrants, and upwards of, on average, 14%, some higher. A whole bunch of studies were done by not just Gallup, but they were 14% of migrants questioned said they have voted and plan on voting again. And you got Democrats everywhere saying, oh, we have initiatives for migrants, illegal aliens, to vote in our towns. And they go, oh, but it's only in local elections. Well, how many local elections aren't held on the general election or the off-year election? Almost all of them are. Every once in a while, there's a weird special election if somebody dies or gets in, or resigns. So this is going on, as Elon Musk has pointed out, as I've pointed out, as Trump's pointed out. I mean, Musk was posting on X last week and over the weekend. I sent the crew the clips. I never got to them Friday. Guys, give me Friday's list. I think I'm going to do that today. Of congressional hearings in 2016, 18, 20, 22, 23, 24, where they have the elections officials and the experts and the professors up there showing all the machines getting hacked and showing the illegals voting and showing the dead people voting. So this goes on. We know it goes on. And they sit there and gas.
Yes, I mean, I'm aware of that, obviously. Yeah. Of course, there is fraud going on, and of course, this is one of the reasons too that the Democrats are letting so many illegal immigrants in, because they know that although most of the Hispanics are quite conservative, actually, socially, but it's good for them to vote Democrat because that way they're more likely to be able to bring their families in. And the Democrats are banking on that. And it's a very bizarre thing that in the States you need identity cards for almost everything, you know, even to have a drink, actually, but not to vote, you know. In many places, you don't need ID to vote, and it's actually illegal even to ask for ID to vote. So, you know, clearly they want a lot of these aliens to vote. So, yes, I don't have confidence that it's a completely fair system, no. I mean, I think there are worse, more corrupt elections in other parts of the world, but it's not 100% fair, no.
Vicente, now we are just finishing here. Thanks once more, Greg and Powell. It's always a pleasure to have you here. I hope you can produce like Vitor, Vicente, like Lorenzo, Cianti, like the other members. I really hope that you can produce your individual stuff here in Guerra da Informação. I promise that in the future we'll have a channel just in English. It's unbelievable that we have something like you here. It's amazing to have something like you here. It's like it's amazing. Vicente, do you believe 100% in any kind of electoral system?
Of course not. I'm the most skeptical and cynical person, in probably the whole of Ireland. So no, there's a lot of cheating. We all know that. There are interests and lobbies playing around, making sure that everything goes in their favor. And the whole thing happening behind the scenes is beyond our imagination. I don't want to even think how much they play around with the votes. And that's true for both sides, okay, let's be honest. Perhaps the Democrats have an upper hand when it comes to this game, but it's happening all over the place. And I can tell you, I have no problem saying that. My father is a member of a political party. I made no secret of that. My father is a member of the Communist Party. I haven't said that in this podcast, but I'm going to say it now. My father is a member of the Communist Party, and now he's getting old, you know, and he's not that active as before, but he used to sit in Portugal in the election day and going through the votes, okay? And I'm not going to share here because it's in the public space, but what things that he saw it, okay? I'm not saying he participated, things he saw it. And that's just an example, like some, you know, some town in Portugal, there are 300 people voting, and the impact of cheating, it's little. So imagine multiply that by I don't know, 500,000 in the US. Of course it's happening. You frozen, Oscar?
Oh, sorry, guys. Are you there?
Were you shocked? Were you shocked with my comment?
Yeah, we are talking about electoral system, so that this kind of thing happens, you know. Yeah. Anyway, guys, it was amazing to have you guys here. Thanks once more, Garry, Craig, Powell, Vitor Vicente. Vitor Vicente is one of the founder fathers here of Guerra da Informação.
How can you assume my gender? I'm saying father. No, I'm gonna drop. How can you assume that? No. Just because I said bad shit about your hometown, now you can assume my gender. No, that's too much. No.
Guys, if you are following this live stream through the Facebook or Instagram or any other stuff like X, the former Twitter, please go on YouTube, subscribe to Guerra da Informação, subscribe to our channel, because we are here on a battle against the system, against the propaganda. They don't make journalism, they make propaganda. It's important to us that you go on Facebook, subscribe, and share. Thanks everyone that has seen this live stream here. Tomorrow, another live stream. On Wednesday, we have live stream. Tomorrow is in Portuguese. I know the algorithms hate any kind of channel that speak 4 or 5 languages. I know that.
They hate us anyway.
I promise you that I will make separate channels just in English, channel just in Portuguese, channel just in Spanish or French. But from the moment, all we get is the Guerra da Informação. Per favor, please subscribe and share. Garry, thanks once more. Vitor Vicente, thanks, and I hope I see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. Share, subscribe, Guerra da Informação, fighting against the propaganda news. Ciao, au revoir. Merci.